Where that homeowner who shot a black teenager at his door posted $200,000 bail hours after turning himself in today. Maggie Vespa is there with late details.
Tonight, police say the white homeowner accused of shooting a black Missouri teen who rang his doorbell, now out on bail after turning himself in to police.
We are satisfied with the charges that are brought as charges. Obviously, we want to see it through to a conviction and appropriate sentencing.
84-year-old Andrew Lester faces the possibility of life in prison, charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action for shooting 16-year-old Ralph Yarl in the head and arm after Yarl, hoping to pick up his younger brothers Thursday, accidentally went to the wrong home.
Ralph says that he was shot through the screen door at point-blank range, and when he went to the ground, he was shot a second time.
Meanwhile, new details on the homeowner's possible defense. Per a probable cause statement, Andrew Lester telling detectives he was in bed Thursday night when he heard his doorbell ring, adding he picked up his gun and saw a black male approximately 6 feet tall pulling on his exterior storm door handle. Lester noting he believed someone was attempting to break in and shot twice, adding he was scared to death, and the two exchanged no words. NBC News has made multiple attempts to reach out to Lester, but so far has been unsuccessful. Ralph's family says he only rang the doorbell and never tried to break in. The family's attorney says that Andrew Lester told Ralph, "Don't come around here," before shooting him. The family says Ralph, wounded, ran for his life. Meanwhile, more than 1,500 of his high school classmates rallying around Ralph today, wearing blue, his favorite color, and willing his recovery along.
We support you, Ralph. We want to be there for you. We want to let you know that we stand with you.
Maggie Vespa joined me now. Maggie, what do we know about Ralph's condition, his recovery, and the next steps in this case?
Yeah, Lester, the next step is basically this homeowner's arraignment. It's scheduled for tomorrow at 1:30 local time. In the meantime, Ralph Yarl is recovering at home from his injuries. He's suffering from a cracked skull and a traumatic brain injury. We're told his speech is impaired, and his family is hopeful for a full recovery, but they add nothing is certain.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and break.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Man Cave. We are Corey and Hamp. You listen to the Much About Nothing podcast, the show where we give expert takes, good-hearted debates. We talk ball and anything and everything else. Today, we'll be talking a little bit about everything else. If you got something to say, put it in the comments. If you're new to the pod, greetings. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, smash that bell. If you're already part of the fam, welcome back. Please like, share, and comment. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Corey, let's get into it. But before we get into it, man, Tiff, thanks for always being the first one here. Love you, baby. All right, what's up, AD? What's up, Mr. Hampton, Miss Hampton? What's up, Vontae? We live, baby. All right, let's get into it, Corey.
Yes. Congratulations on. I'm gonna get to you in a second, Aaron. But yeah, shout out to Tiff. She's always the first person in the comments. We're gonna have to send something out to Tiff, man, to celebrate that task, man. She is always the first person at the top. She makes a valiant effort to do that, man. I appreciate that, man. And yes, Aaron, man, you don't just represent a team when they up, man. You represent a team when they down. You will constantly see my Warrior stuff on. I go to work with my Warrior stuff on. I don't just stop doing this or stop believing just because things get hard. I done seen times when things was rough and people say you should have gave up, and I ain't seen the Warriors do what Warriors do. But like I say all the times, be careful what you laugh at, because they might get the last laugh, you know. But okay. Before we get into the tragic events, I do want to say, man, y'all did a wonderful job, because last night episode, man, boom, the numbers are just crazy, and it's all thanks to y'all. At the end of the day, y'all are a faithful few. Y'all do so much for us. I just want to say thank you. We celebrate with y'all. We did amazing numbers, man. Me and him are ecstatic from that. But like I said, thank you. And let's move on into this. First, starting off, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of this young man that has been shot. And thankfully, he didn't lose his life. Thankfully, he will recover. Prayerfully, he will recover fully. But thoughts and prayers out to his family. I hope he have a speedy recovery. And I hope everything is healed within his body, man. Truthfully, I hope that justice is brought. So we're gonna start this thing out with just giving out thoughts, man. What's your thoughts on the situation, Ham?
Very first thing I'm gonna say is thoughts and prayers. The phrase I hope I never have to hear. The phrase of inaction.
Mm.
The phrase of this issue is too big to do anything about. The phrase that I'm sorry that this happened to you. The phrase that we probably not gonna do nothing else about it. We can't fix it. I mean, it's sad that we have to constantly. Anytime there's a gun issue, some person being shot, it's thoughts and prayers. And I'm gonna tell you, I want before we even talk about, because I mean, you can read about the young man. They'll tell you he played sports, he played video games, the same thing. But I don't know the boy, but I do know this. I know I have an 8-year-old, and I know the type of things that 8-year-olds are into.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're into playing video games. They still have a vivid imagination about things. Sometimes they have impulse issues. But at the end of the day, they are innocent and they're trying to find their way. And here we are offering him thoughts and prayers when his skull is cracked. That's my original thought on it.
Man, hey, for real, I thought we were gonna have a much agreed episode, but that's the first thing I can disagree with. First of all, thoughts and prayers are empty for unbelievers, not for believers. We as believers believe in a one true God that's all powerful. We believe when we pray to him, things do move. So right now you're attacking our faith by saying thoughts and
Mm.
prayers don't work. You're saying that prayers
No,
are
no,
nothing. So
that's not
for
what I'm saying.
us, when we offer, like it's for unbelievers when they say it, of course they mean nothing. But when I say thoughts and prayers, I do believe the God that I serve will be there with them in this hard time. And I do think he is all powerful. I do think he can do much more than anybody can do. It's not a single thing an individual can do on this podcast or in this world beyond what he can do. So when I say thoughts and prayers, I believe I got a God on my side that's making changes. So it
Okay,
ain't no empty
I
words
think.
when I say it.
See, I think we talking about two different things.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not saying prayer isn't the problem.
Uh-huh.
The inaction after the prayer is the problem. Now I
Okay,
understand that. I'm
okay.
not saying that the prayer is the issue. Prayer is not the issue. The young man needs prayer,
Hmm.
um, but we also need action. We need action, and I'm not saying action towards the old man. I'm not even talking about action in the situations. Um, if if anything other than guns were doing the damage that guns are doing, we would figure out a way to do better with it. And I'm reading some of the comments here. Somebody said that it's it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate we have situations like this. And Kevin said, "FYI, he's going to get off." I absolutely believe that he will get off. I believe that he will. He will have. I believe that the National Rifle Association will get him the best lawyers. I believe that they will form the best castle defense. He will be afraid for his life. It will be so many things, and then we will find some. Kanye will do something, or Donald Trump will do something, and we will forget about the fact that this young boy got shot in the face.
I
Right
do
off.
want to put out the fact that yes, Tawana, things have changed. I mean, they have raised over $3 million for this young man. That's thankful. Hey, thankful for all these people that's gathered around them. They are people doing moves and they are doing some things on the behalf of this man. We don't want to let that go unnoticed. And I do agree. I think what you mean now, and I preached a sermon on this, and it's called "Put Some Feet on Your Prayers." Prayers are not just the only thing. Sometimes you got to make moves behind your prayers. Sometimes you know what I'm saying, God is not just calling you to ask him to do something. Sometimes he want to use you as the vessel to do things through. So I agree that was your notion. I would thought you were saying like prayers are just empty. That saying is just means nothing.
No,
Uh,
it's about the
I,
action after it. It's
I
about the action.
forgive me, Dan. I misinterpreted.
Okay. All right. So before we go into it, do you want me to kind of? I mean, we looked at the video. Do you want to give a rundown of what the New York Times says happened, or how you want to do this?
Yeah, you certainly give a whole lot of rundowns. I got most of it right here, but yeah, give a rundown of it, and we can see where we're gonna start off and run this thing through. You know.
Okay. So this happened Thursday. This happened last Thursday.
Hmm.
As of Tuesday, he was doing well, and he got that phone call from Kamala Harris with her thoughts and prayers. So I'm pretty sure that's great. He's recovering now. All right. So what the New York Times said was there was a little disagreement over what transpired Thursday night. According to the criminal complaint, at roughly 9:50, one resident heard something unusual: a vehicle pulling up into Mr. Lester's driveway. It was odd, the resident told the police, for Mr. Lester to have a visitor that late at night. The father had made an error, common in Kansas City, driving to a house at Northeast 115th Street instead of Northeast 115th Terrace, which is a
Yeah.
block away. He pressed the doorbell, waited outside for what felt like a long time. Um, the young man told police. Mr. Lester, who had gone to bed, got up, opened the door, holding a revolver, according to probable cause statement from the investigators. Mr. Lester told the police officer after shooting that he saw a black male pulling on the exterior storm door handle. This was one of the few areas of disagreement. When interviewed by a
Hmm.
detective, the young man said that he only rang the doorbell and did not pull on the door. Within moments, Mr. Lester began shooting through the glass of the exterior storm door. All right. He's threatened, but he's shooting through the storm door. After that, man, it's bothering me a little bit. Um, so he started shooting through the storm door. The young man was shot in the head and in the arm. And the man said, "Don't come around here." He remembers Mr. Lester saying. According to a detective, he got up, ran away, tried to elude more gunshots. He told the police. Zach Doval, he's 20 years old. He lives across the street. He was watching a podcast. I hope it was this one. In the
Hmm.
house where he lives with his mother. The two were startled by a bang at the front door, fearful that someone was trying to break in. They called 911. The operator told them there was a gunman on the loose and they should stay inside. But they could see that there was a boy in the driveway and went outside, and he was limping and bleeding. Wounded from gunshots, Mr. Dover ran back inside, grabbed towels while his mother talked to Raph, asking questions to make sure he stayed alert until the ambulance got there. The worst part was seeing him get down on his knees. It looked like he was praying, Mr. Dover said. He thought he was going to die.
Hmm.
One of Ralph's family members said that he went three different houses before a neighbor would actually open the door. Mr. Doval said the police and ambulance arrived in what felt like minutes, and once there was a police presence outside, more neighbors came outside the house. Mm. All right, there's the story. Now let's get into it.
Yeah, man. Tragic situation. I mean, I told you, it's a hard situation for me to even comment on. I don't really have nothing to say. It's a tragic situation for this family, man. Tough situation. Tough situation, man.
All right, what's the first? What's the first? What's our first bar?
I mean, it's tough to build a ball, man. I told you I don't know where we're gonna go off this episode. I think the first thing, like I said, the thoughts on the situation. Do you? I guess where we'll start this episode from is how
Okay,
do you think this would turn out? How do you think this would
okay.
turn
So
out?
let's talk about some more of the details. Right?
All right, more details.
He didn't get charged several days later.
I think
After,
that's
after
quite common though. It's quite common in most situations. They don't
um,
charge you exactly right then. It happens a lot of times. It happens
okay.
more often than people realize. I think right now, when it happens now, we like to say that it is something behind it. But if police don't think they have enough evidence to draw forth the case, they won't charge it. And it usually is out of their hands. Usually go before a magistrate, and then they realize because I have been before them a magistrate, and they find out they got information, and they was about to release me until the cop ran in with video evidence, and that's when they charged me. But they
Mm-hmm.
was about to release me until the evidence came in which they had enough evidence to charge me with.
Seems like a lot of evidence here, but okay. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. I'm gonna take it under advisement. All right.
Yeah.
So, he was not charged for several days. Um, Social media got involved. A lot of people got upset.
Hmm.
He was charged. He turned himself in. And after he turned himself in, Mr. Lester has been released from bond. Um, it was shortly after surrendering to the authorities on Tuesday. He has no lawyer listed as representing him yet, and it's not clear when he may appear in front of a judge.
Hmm.
So he's at the house. They both at the house.
You don't think he should have got bond?
I didn't say that.
Oh, I thought you was because the way you sound like you disagree with the fact that he's out on bond. Is Derek Chauvin got bond, but he still got prosecuted and arrested. I
Yeah,
don't think bond
this is
has any indication on whether you're guilty or not. Bond is just an indication whether they think that you're going to turn in, you're going to come to court or not. At the end of the day, they look at this 85-year-old man and say you ain't running nowhere. At the end of the day, we're gonna find you at your house. We can lock you up there. So the
mm,
question is, do you think is he a danger to flee the state?
man.
And I don't
Listen,
think he's no danger to flee the state.
listen, man. Listen, I don't give
I
a
think he
damn.
probably should have. I think he should have locked himself up. Number one, because you don't know what might happen. Somebody might run up in that joint. You know what I'm saying? That man dead. It might come after you. You might would have been safe in jail. At the end of the day, that's my child, man.
And
Woo.
this is the thing, man. I'm going to say this before I even address what some of the comments say. I'm going to say this. A long time ago, I made a statement, um, and I said that I'm just the biggest thing is that the start is at least people are being charged now. Like that's my bare minimum. Like when it came down to all these different things, I was like, at least there is a judicial process for this stuff right here. If a group of his peers feel this old man did nothing wrong,
Mhm.
it is what it is. I can accept it. So many times there won't even be a case when it
Mhm.
comes to certain things. And what I'm saying is the young man that got shot in the face at least deserves that much. I think that's the I think that's I think that's the bare minimum.
Me myself, I mean, like they say, like you said, the the you know what I'm saying, the whole case is in the details. Number one, and I tend to side towards the kid because my first indication, why would he lie about, you know what I'm saying? But then you got lawyers involved, so it's hard for me to. I need more details to come out because I think the court case gonna come out to was he attempted to break in? Because at the end of the day, did that man have a reason to really fear that this man was breaking in? And I don't think that kid was breaking in. I don't see a reason why the kid would be pulling on the handle of the house. I think he probably was ringing the doorbell, knocking like a normal human being. So, and then the shot twice, shooting him on the ground is another indication. Because even if when you shot him while he was on the ground, he was no longer a threat towards you, and that's going to be the case. Another crazy thing about it, they don't have the way these charges might not sound that he's charged with attempted murder, but Missouri doesn't have attempted murder.
Yeah.
What they have is first degree assault, and that
Yeah,
is
he's
the
charged
same thing as
appropriately.
it's the
He's
same thing.
charged
But
appropriately.
some person can read that and assume why you ain't charged with attempted murder. They have a different lingo for how they charge that case. It's called first degree assault, and that is basically attempted murder, which can be up to life. And
Yeah.
they do have death penalty in that state, so he could serve the death penalty, possibly, quite possible.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm reading these comments and I'm gonna tell you the things in my mind. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and say this right. So as far as I got to address this one. The kid will be coached to meet the racism narrative. Like
yeah.
man, ain't nobody coaching that kid to no racism. The fact of the matter is this. The fact of the matter is when if you read what his statement was,
Hmm.
now again, he saw a a black male pulling at his door handle. Okay, that's what he saw.
So you would
Now,
prefer him to
now,
say he just saw a male, not a black
no,
male,
no,
white
no,
male?
no I don't prefer.
Uh,
I don't. I don't prefer anything.
I'm saying, what's wrong with that statement?
I'm making the statement as how it was said.
Yeah,
I don't have a
don't get
preference.
what's wrong with it.
I didn't say anything was wrong with it.
Oh.
I didn't say anything was wrong with it. What I'm saying to you is, he was so afraid of someone pulling at his door. This 9-year-old kid. I mean, like I said, I'm biased because you know what?
I know you biased. I get you biased.
In this chat, I would imagine if you haven't had something in a long time, you kind of forget what it looks like. But I got an 8-year-old, right? So I know what a 9-year-old looks like at your door.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know what that looks like at your door.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, he is no.
You
black
saying
man.
the kid is 9-year-old?
I mean,
the
I'm
kid's
sorry,
16.
I mean,
I'm about to say,
16.
whoa.
You say so. You say, like I know what a 16-year-old looks like.
All
right?
right.
So the thought that okay, I'm looking at this young man, and if he really thought that he was really in danger to the point where he had to shoot him, and then make the statement, "Don't come around here no more."
See, that's another thing of conflict. The child says he says that. He says he didn't say that. That's a conflict. You taking one side of the information. I'm saying the information presented, that man saying he didn't say nothing. He just shot. So that's what I'm saying.
I get
the
you.
line that I'm inclined to believe the child too, but just to take that narrative as truth, that's not looking at it objective. It's looking at it subjective. I'm telling you, for me, from the standpoint, I'm telling you the way a court system is going to look at it. They're going to take this man's statement and this man's statement. And if you just going to automatically think the court is going to take their statement and not hear his, that's not how law works. That's not how the law going to work.
I think on this one, I think I'm gonna use my favorite word. Let's consider an alternative, right? Let's consider the alternative. So let's just say that man did nothing wrong.
I thought you said, hold on, you said his dad dropped him off, right? He just went to go knock him.
No, I'm sorry. The young man.
You said he was driving?
He was driving himself. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's what Tawana said. He was driving. I thought you said his dad dropped him off.
He was driving.
Oh yeah. All right, my bad.
So when here goes my question to you. Let's just say that man did nothing wrong, right? If he did nothing wrong and that kid had what he had coming to him, like the thought process is that young man, he knocked on the wrong door and he had what he had coming to him. Is that the narrative that we're gonna go with here? Because these are the two alternates. Either that man is at fault or that kid deserved to get shot in the face.
No, I'm not. I don't think that's the narrative. I don't agree with that premise. You just put me in the box.
No, I'm asking.
I'm saying is what I'm saying is this, and I will continue to say this. It's not enough
accident.
information for me to know anything. I don't know anything. Now, what Tiff asked is a great thing. What's the objective evidence? The objective evidence, you have a black teen shot twice. Now, the reason behind why he was shot twice, what happened, we don't know this until evidence comes out. And I am a person that waits until evidence come out. I'm not saying whether it is or ain't. I'm just, and I think that's just the difference between me and you. And I'm not saying you're wrong. You do that. And that's comfortable for you, but I don't make assumptions based on faulty evidence that I don't know. I don't know anything. And sit up here and act like I do know any information. No information will come out. I wait until the trial. I watch the trial and I look at the information brought forth and I see how they bring forth the case. And that's how I would do that. But for me to sit here and act like I have evidence because I read it on a news site when that person has a lawyer that's going to put out their information, and that person has a lawyer that's going to put out that information, and both lawyers going to have information that's put out to protect their clients.
Hey, listen,
that's just the way it's going to operate.
I'm going to tell you like this, Corey, and I'm reading Todd's statement. If you're 85 years old and you're asleep and your doorbell rings, fear automatically comes to your heart. I can understand that. I can sympathize.
I'm about to say.
Now, I want to think about
I went through that one night. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
Like 2:00 now, it was a raccoon at my back door. I went to get the strap. It could have been anything back then.
Yeah. Hey, but it's all right. But then to open the door because you're afraid.
That's another thing.
To open the door and then shoot through the glass screen door.
That's what I'm saying. That's conflating arguments, bro. You saying that he opened the door. That is one side.
The door was open.
Hold on.
The front door is
not. No. That's what I'm saying. You have to remain objective. You confusing subjective with object. The gas was shot through. The door was not open. The glass was shot through. Now you say he opened the door. The child argument is that he opened the door. His argument is that he shot through the door. So that's two separate arguments. You conflating both.
No,
You're saying the door was open. That's not it.
I just read what the discovery.
Read it again.
The discovery said he shot through the screen door.
Shot through the screen door.
You have to open the door to shoot through the screen door, Corey.
What do you mean? He could have had the screen door open. You don't know none of that. He could have had his door already open. The screen door was shut. You know none of that.
He afraid for his life, and he living in the neighborhood with the
what
with
I'm
the front
saying
door
is
wide
we
open.
don't know any information. You're putting information in there. That is information that you put in. If we was doing Bible study, I would call that eisegesis. You're putting your own feelings on information. I only read the information as is and let that lay. You're reading your own interpretations into it. And you can't say you're not doing that. That's imprinting your own subjective interpretations onto that. That is not what it says. Does it say that? Does it say she opened the door? No. So that's what I'm saying. Just wait for the information to come out. I'm not saying you're not right.
I'm gonna find it right here.
I'm not saying you're not right. I'm saying, but we can wait until the information comes out to really get a full understanding of the situation. We don't have to just, and I feel like, and that gets to the point of what Tawana was saying. I feel like we want something to be a certain way, so we try to put it out there. And that's just not the way. I just know me, myself, respectively. I don't operate like that. I wait for the information. I read it as is, and then I make my assessment. But I can't jump to conclusion. That's, like I said, I don't see how people operate like that.
For the discovery, what they said was, because they said what was a disagreement. This part was not a disagreement.
What part was?
It says within moments, Mr. Lester begins shooting through the glass of the exterior storm door, afraid that a break-in was in progress. Now, it very well. If you're going to tell me if the scenario is,
I'm not going to tell you anything.
I'm just saying, if the scenario is, he opened the door, and when he opened the door, the young man tried to open the screen door, right? He opened.
I'm not going to tell you. I don't know.
However, whatever the thought process is, the thought process is, right, wrong, indifferent.
I don't have any.
All right. Because I'm not here to hold trial for the guy. Like I said,
I
am satisfied that he is charged.
Yes, I am too.
I am satisfied with that. Yeah. If a group of his peers decide that he is innocent, then so be it.
That's not how I act on it. I look at the evidence and I make a astute judgment on the evidence, and whether I'm gonna agree with the evidence that is put forth after I see the trial. Hopefully we go through the whole trial and look at the evidence. And then you'll get me make my assessment of it. And if it's alternative to my assessment, then I'm like, well, I don't agree with that. Yeah, but that's what they ruled on. But that's how I would do it.
All right, and I think a bigger issue is this. This is a bigger issue, right? We talk about things that make sense. And again, I know that people talk about don't take our guns. Don't take our guns. I mean, 85-year-old guy in the house, loaded revolver. It's so normal. It is so normal. I mean, I got a list, and the reason why I kept saying 9-year-old because I kept reading different articles. So I was talking with Tim when I was doing my research for this episode. I just kept reading article after article after article of children that have been shot. Some of them, and it doesn't matter whether they're shot by white men, doesn't matter whether they're shot by Hispanic or whatever. The fact of the matter is, a child being shot with a firearm it should be enraging to all of us. Like, and what we do is we thoughts and prayers, and then we go back to our Instagram scroll, and we don't try to figure out what's the best way to do it. We haven't made changes. You know, Australia, I think it was like from 87 to 96, they had like 4, maybe 6 mass shootings.
Mhm.
And then they decided, you know what? That's too many. And they ain't had one since. Now, I'm not saying that we should be Australia, but I'm saying that we should at least have the same type of outrage they have and at least try to be solution oriented other than offering thoughts and prayers. Like we should be solution oriented. I mean, because we could debate this whether it's blue in the face. Even if they give the man 20 years, he don't look like he got 10. I mean, I mean,
You might
it
not make
is.
it fine,
Yeah,
cuz.
that's what I'm saying. Like, cause I'm gonna tell you, if I lived in the neighborhood, I'd probably be knocking on the door, bringing him DoorDash. Like, I mean, how often? You get what I'm saying? Like, right there,
Man,
the
that man don't
stress,
order no DoorDash.
the stress that he is under right there. I don't think he got 20 years in him.
Yeah, that
And
man.
justice, there's no amount of justice that can be served, in my opinion, for that young man. And
But
the
I
trauma that a young man will have for the rest of his life. Because we ain't even talking about that. Yeah,
yeah.
that's one part of it. Yeah, he got shot in the face, but the trauma that's associated with, man, I
Mhm.
just really was trying to do something good and got shot in my face. Yeah, I mean,
That's a terrible aspect, bro. It's a tough thing, man. There's definitely, man. But I mean, I do want to say it's crazy though because another girl named I don't know whether you heard that Caitlin Gellis, she was shot dead in New York State after pulling into the wrong driveway.
mhm.
She was shot dead. You know what I'm saying? That's a story that's out right now too. She pulled into the wrong driveway and she was shot dead. So I mean, it is, and it is like you say. I do think something should be done about this about guns at the end of the day. If you want to raise the age and stuff like that, but the argument just from the left is just let's get rid of guns, and I don't think that's a feasible argument for. I don't think as long as you have that stance and it ain't gonna be no common ground, then we'll know it'll never be
All
any
right,
move.
so I got a comment
I
here
don't
that I
think it'll
want you
be
to
any
read. I
move.
got a comment here I want you to read.
Yeah,
Matt
yeah. The
Beard.
Sweet 16 birth. Good
No,
job, Todd. That too.
I'm,
28
I'm,
black
I'm,
people were shot.
I'm gonna go with Matt Beard's comment here. I feel like hiding behind the detail is obscuring the issues here. Main issue is if that was a white kid knocking at his door, would he be getting shot?
Interesting enough, Caitlin Gillis was a white girl that got shot by a white man for pulling into the wrong driveway. That just happened. That was broad daylight. That didn't happen at night. That happened during the day. So she was a white girl that got shot for pulling in the wrong driveway. So if you want to ask if that was a white kid, maybe so. We talk about like that couldn't happen. That's what Tawana is getting out. A lot of people put out that narrative, but at the end of the day, we have no indication that it could be racial. I'm inclined to believe that it was racial. That's out the way, but I don't know. And I'm more along the lines that I wait for details before I say it because at the end of the day, I could say any white man shooting a black person or any black person shooting a white person is racial. But at the end of the day, we have right here Caitlin Gillis was shot, a white girl by a white man, and you hear nothing about it in the media. So at the end of the day, we know that's not racial because it wasn't a racial person involved. So I don't know whether it's racial.
Man, I'm gonna
It's
tell you.
easy to say, and I think that's probably what the narrative that's want to be put out here. I mean, at the end of the day, people want that narrative, and that's the narrative that's going to be pushed. It's the reason why you don't hear about Kate and Gillis. Nobody hears about that up here. Nobody talks about those four kids shot dead in Alabama because they, you know what I'm saying. But if it was a white person that did it, we would be hearing about that. But you don't hear about them 28 black kids shot. That's not what the narrative wants. You know,
This is out of control, Corey. This is out of control. This is
how's it
out of
out of control?
this is
That's a
out of
factual statement.
control.
That's a factual statement.
Look,
I
man.
said I'm inclined to believe that it is racial. I just don't know. There's no indication here to say that it was racial until it been put out. Until you get the evidence. Unless you want to believe that, then I see that you can
Listen,
I
I
think
haven't.
all the
Listen,
information is there for a person that wants it to be racial. Cause they got the information that this a black kid that was a white man, so it must be racial. That's all the evidence anybody that wants that narrative to be put out. That's all they need. That's all you would
yeah,
need.
I'm gonna tell you, man.
It's enough evidence.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Like, I think that I'm going to answer your question. All right, why is Caitlyn thing not a story? Right?
Gillis?
Yeah, yeah, Gillis. I
Yeah.
don't even know. I don't even know the story.
Yeah.
And you're right. And it may not fit the narrative. It may not fit the narrative. I mean, we are at a point of, man, people expect this. I mean, because it's this is like a movie that has gone on for so long that we know the different. And we're just waiting for the different plot twists to it. Like there's so many different shootings of this nature that people
Mm-hmm.
are just sitting here waiting because it makes news because we know it's coming. As far as that situation, ain't nobody checking for it. I don't know, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm in this very moment. Um, I'm sorry that happened to her, and my thoughts and prayers go to her. Now
You
back to
just
this.
made the same
That's
indication
my
and the
point. That's
thoughts
my
and
point.
prayers,
That's my point. My
but
thoughts
you
and
don't
prayers for
care.
her. Let's go back to this comment that we're
It's
talking
fair.
about,
No,
that's what,
I was
and
just,
that's
I was
usually what happens, Corey.
the
That's
reason why I
usually what
brought
happens.
that up
Thoughts
because
and prayers to her.
hold up. This question, you read a question, and your question was, let's go back up to it because we don't want to lose. Matt Bird said, "What if it was white?" And I brung up an indication that a white person was shot by another white person. So what if they was white? They could have also been shot, and I brung up evidence as of that. So why wouldn't I bring up that evidence? Do you prefer me to just sit back as a black individual and say, "Yeah, man, you know what?" And that's what you want to hear. I mean, I give you what you want to hear, but at the end
Listen,
of the day, I'm just
and
giving
I'm gonna give y'all what you want to hear. Like
yeah.
for Todd and Tawana, I'm gonna give y'all what y'all want to hear. I guess those kids in Chicago that were killed, thoughts and prayers to them. Because we're bringing up all these different tragedies as if two things cannot be true, because there is
What do you mean?
black on black violence. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what we should be focusing on, and not
Mm-hmm.
focusing on anything else. If that's what you're saying, I'm
I
talking
don't
about
think
this
that's what
very
we're
specific
saying.
because we're talking about a very specific thing,
Nobody's
and
saying
I'm
that.
looking. We're talking
Nobody's
about a very
saying that.
specific issue, and we're bringing up all these different issues
No,
about
we're
okay,
just saying
black
you
people shooting
automatically
themselves all the
cannot
time.
assume that it's the issue you want it to be. We're saying
Which
it could be the issue you want it to be, but you can't automatically assume that. You have to wait. I know you jumping at the bit to make it be that, but
I'm not
wait
jumping
for
at
the
the bit.
evidence.
I'm not jumping at the
At
bit
the end of
at
the day,
all.
if you can agree that shootings happen all the time, right? People shot. Why would you incline to believe that it's a racial component to it? You
Okay.
automatically assume that
I'm
because
gonna
they white and one
no,
person's
no, I'm
white,
gonna
one
tell you the
person
reason.
black.
If is this a real question or is this a closed
Let me
case?
ask, this is a real question. Have you ever seen a white person shoot a black person and not thought it was racial?
I'm sure it happens all the time.
Have you ever thought it though? Ever heard it happen before
Yeah.
and thought it wasn't racial?
Hmm. Yeah.
Which one?
You said
What
which
shooting?
one? I don't know.
What
I mean,
shooting?
I can think of. You want me to create a scenario where I would think that
It's a
it
lot
happened?
of shootings that have
Yeah, I'm
happened
talking about this particular.
over the years.
I'm talking about this particular situation. I'm not talking about
Oh,
every situation. I'm talking
my
about
bad.
in
I'm
this
saying, have
particular
you ever in
situation.
any situation where a white person has shot a black person, never thought it was racial?
Yeah.
We had 1,000 of them over the years that come out every year.
And
In
look,
any one of those
Corey,
situations, did you think?
Corey, I was in the Marine Corps. People got shot all the time. I understand that people get shot for
I'm
agendas
talking
all
about
the
the ones
time.
that's on the news, though.
The ones that's on the news, like you said, which one I didn't think was
Were
I
racial.
don't know.
It's a lot of them. They happen all the time. Have you ever thought one of those wasn't racial? If it's only one, you should have. That one
Yeah,
should pop up.
the girl with the knife, and the cop shot her.
The cop
And,
shot.
and
The one that LeBron's had a
yeah,
backtrack. He
yeah.
thought it was racial though for the get go.
Okay, but you asked me a question, I gave you an answer.
Or you
All right.
never thought that was racial.
I never thought it was racial because as soon as I saw it, I saw a man doing his job.
Doing his job.
I saw him doing his job, and it's unfortunate she got shot.
Yeah.
But the job, that was the job. He did the job. I mean,
it was a tough job to do, but
he made a call. He made a call. It was a good judgment call.
That's on the basis I'm saying. I'm not saying it. I believe that it is racial, but my belief is not. I can't make a statement that say it is. I don't have enough information to even back that up.
But
it could not be.
All right. So again, we talked about the first one. My first issue is I talked about the gun issue, and I think that we do nothing about it. Here goes the second issue.
Mm-hmm.
The second issue is for some reason it seems like black is synonymous with fear.
Black is synonymous with fear.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was afraid. He
Well,
was
he not
afraid.
saying he was afraid because the guy was black. He said he was afraid because somebody's at his door at 10
Yeah,
o'clock
I
at
know,
night.
but let's
Making
just
the
think.
assumption that black had
Okay,
anything to do
all
with the
right, he do.
fear is
Okay, but I'm gonna ask
just
you.
assumption.
I wonder if. Check this out, right? What if a guy had a Mickey Mouse outfit on? Would he still be afraid of Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse? Or what if it was Barney or Elmo?
I'm of the indication right there, right now, with any, I don't know whether he was in fear because that man was black or he was in fear just because it was somebody at his door at 10 o'clock at night. I'm pretty sure that person that shot Caitlin Gillis is going to make the same statement he was in fear. Now, you
Mhm.
can't say he was in fear because the person was black because they were white, but he shot all the same. So the question of whether he was in fear because that person was black, I have no indication that is true. I don't know. It could be. It could be, but I don't know. That's making us I told you don't hear this all the time. It's hard for me to make real justified statements on things without knowing information. And
Yeah,
that's it's not enough
yeah.
information now.
And so and next I want to get into one of the things that George got some good comments in here. Uh, I want to say this, right? And I agree with it feels like every time somebody gets shot, right, a person of color,
Mhm.
we got to do an intensive background check to make sure that he was worthy of not being shot. Like I can't be the only person in this conversation that feel like we do this intensive thing of was he worthy of not being shot? Like what? Let's check his background. Let's see what he was doing. Let's see what was he wearing? Did he have a hoodie on? Did he have his hands in? Like we do this whole rigmarole of whether or not he should have not been shot. And so again, I'm talking about in this particular situation right here. I think it's very simple. And you could talk about Caitlyn. You could talk about you could talk about whoever you want to talk about. But I'm talking. I think that
So
she
we might
is
as well just book him. There's no need for a
no.
trial or anything. It's open and shut case. There's no need to look whether the man was justified in shooting at all. Lock that man up. I don't know why we going to any bit of
Nah, man.
evidence or trial
No,
or
no. I
gathering
think I think I
statements,
think I think
any
I
of that.
think this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
I'm about to say,
I am
because what you
saying
said is why do we even
no,
look
no,
into
no,
this?
no, 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 Corey. What I'm saying is, I think that we have to get away from making the person who was shot looking in, looking into whether or not they were worthy of the bullet that they earned. Like I think we need to get away from that, right? And right now we're giving all these examples of people who have all these examples of like you said, she got shot pulling into the wrong driveway, outlier, like, and it has
Mhm,
nothing to do with this situation right here,
mhm.
outlier, like. Even in this situation, I would say that probably knocking on the door is an outlier.
Hold on.
I would give
I
you this.
only bring up that case as a response to a question that was asked. A question was asked. It's not an outlier. You asked a question. What if the person was white? I brung up a scenario where a white person got shot. What else am I supposed to do except go along with what you just forced me and saying I'm wrong for bringing up saying what if the person white? I'm saying if a person white, they could have been shot too.
Yeah,
It just
I'm.
doesn't fit your narrative. So you would prefer me to say, you know what? He shot solely because he was black.
I'm gonna say
I
this.
don't know that. And
I'm gonna,
again, I'm telling y'all,
and
I'm not making any
I haven't. I'm
statement.
listen.
All I'm
I've
saying,
been.
I don't have the evidence. Anything.
Yeah,
I wait. I
I'm
wait
not
until it
asking.
come out.
I mean, because I think that I think this conversation can advance further if we look at it like this. All right, and I am willing, and I try not to put things. I try not to speak on things because I don't like to speak on the power. But listen, because I want Mister and Mrs. Hampton to hear this.
Yes, he's charged with murder right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Mr. Kevin asked, was he charged? Yes, he was
Okay.
charged with murder. He's in jail
Okay.
right now.
Okay. He didn't get bombed.
Nah, he's still charged with murder. He's still locked up right now.
Oh, he didn't get
Currently.
bombed.
Yeah. He ain't been out long enough. It
Okay.
just
All right.
happened today. He probably gonna get a bond too. They
All right.
just
All right. But
searching
anyway,
out a reason.
yeah.
Boy, you search for a reason, boy.
Hey,
Golly.
listen.
If he get bond, what you gonna say then?
Listen, This is what I'm gonna say
That
to you.
just move on.
This is what I'm gonna say right here. Right? I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you this, and I want you to let me say it. And then, if you hear something wrong, please address and let me know.
All right.
If right now it could be 12 o'clock at night, if my doorbell ring, because I was just sitting on the porch and we got a bunch of teenagers. They walking around and doing their thing tonight. But if they knock on my door tonight, 1 o'clock, and I come there with my weapon, right? And I'm terrified, and I shoot them. I'm gonna tell you the questions that they're gonna be asking. Was he having post-traumatic stress? Was he having this? What's into his background? Does he have any felonies? Does this, that, and the third? It's gonna be so many different things that are being questioned about why I shot these young men. And there's not gonna be a single podcast sitting up here talking about like it'll be the complete opposite. It will be the complete opposite if I was to do this. And the fact that you don't see that in the narrative is the bigger problem.
It's not. Hold on. I gotta cut you off because you keep making indications. I'm saying I do not have enough evidence to make a valid judgment on this. You're not gonna put me in the aspect as I'm defending this man or defending anything. I'm saying I do not have the evidence to make a judgment. Now you're very well comfortable on making your judgment without evidence. I'm fine with you doing that. I'm not judging you for doing it. I'm saying I do not do that. I have never done that. And you coming down on me and making it sound like I'm wrong for doing that. No, I make reasonable situation. It's very well when this case come out, because I, like most people don't, I will view this case, listen to the evidence, and make an assumption. But I wait until then. I do not make these assumptions now because oftentimes, it's a lot of evidence that come out that you might not have known about. I done seen plenty times where people instant judgment was the indication that the person was wrong. Then the evidence came out that the person was also justified. I seen that, so I wait until the evidence come out, and there's plenty times that happen. Is people make at the end of the day you make them split decision like LeBron James with that girl stabbing. His instant reaction was that police officer was wrong for shooting that Jones. And you saying right now that that police officer was justified. But what did LeBron James put out? He made a split decision to put out some information that was faulty and false. I reserve that until details come out. Now you can blame me and say I'm wrong for doing that, but that's the way I handle situations. I'm no different. I'm pretty sure I might sound passionate as diving out there, sure, but I would be wrong. I just wait, and that's who I am. I've always been that way. Since the day you know me, I've always said this. I wait for the information. That's just me. I'm not saying this man is right or wrong. I'm saying it's not enough information. I'm pretty sure my indication is right now, my split decision indication is that man shot this man for being black. But I would not make that statement until I have any evidence to support it. Because I can't dive out here and say some mess. That's just subjective. I will base it on objectivity. I'm sorry, I don't do that.
And with George, man, everything he's saying, everything, man. Anywho, I'm going to say this. Right? I understand. I guess I'm more bothered by in the comment section. This thing is if I feel like we are. I've heard so much about this man and his situation and this and I do got a question though, and this is a hypothetical. If it is true, but what the police are saying about the boy or about the neighbor saying that he was weaving in and out because he felt like he was trying to dodge bullets. If that revolver, which holds 6, is empty.
Yeah, that's subjective.
My question: if that revolver is empty,
yeah,
are we still talking about the woman that pulled in the wrong driveway?
No,
they got peeled.
That would be evidence right there. If the evidence comes, because it's a way to tell bullet trajectory. After they do the ballistics and all of that stuff, they're going to be able to tell where the bullets landed. Did he shoot that man on the ground? All of this evidence is stuff that I will wait to come out.
Okay.
It's forensic science. When they put that out, that information will tell me all I need to know. If he shot that man on the ground, he cannot no longer justify his shooting. If he shot that person while heading out the door, in the back, all of these things are things that you can
I got
shut that case.
I got one more question. Right?
All right.
All right. And how do you feel about the police letting him go back to the house?
Let him go back home on bond?
And clean. No, I ain't talking about the whole bond. I'm talking about when he was in charge. He was cleaning up.
What are you talking about?
He went home and cleaned up after killing the guy.
They probably already did. There's no way they didn't do forensics before he ever got to that house to clean up. The minute a shooting happened, have you ever seen a shooting? It doesn't matter whether it's a justified shooting or not. They're going to do forensics before any of that. That gun, they got the gun, all of that stuff. They got bullets and all that. There's no way he going to the house and sweeping up bullets. You cannot touch a crime scene, regardless whether you feel like you acted in self-defense or not. If he swept up them bullets, he's guilty of a charge right there. No, he cannot touch any of it.
My question is because he went home. Because that night, like
they already did all the stuff. They just doing analysis. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
they already did all that stuff. Man, and they just gonna release that.
For some reason, my gut feel like it'll just go different. Like my gut feeling like if
you think they just let him go home and clean out the bullets.
I'm asking you, and tell me if you don't agree with this. If this is him, and somebody knocks on my door. And I gun him down here. I feel like it just goes a little different. You don't think it'll go a little different out here?
What you mean?
I'm thinking that the same scenario. You put me in it. And you put the kids is outside drinking right now. And one of them knock on my door. I think it plays out different. And I think you know that.
What do you mean? Like, you think you wouldn't be at home cleaning?
No,
all that stuff. You don't think a black person has ever been released on bond?
No, I'm telling you, in this situation, the details. If I shot a 16-year-old that was knocking on my door because I said I was afraid, and I shot him through with the screen door. The screen door was closed, and I shot him through my screen door. And then I told him get out of here, and I emptied my clip because I'm just saying. I think that you know that for one, I wouldn't have been back home that night sleeping in my bed. That's first thing. I wouldn't have been back sleeping in my bed. You can say what you want to say. I'm at least gonna sit there a day. I'm gonna tell you, that's the least thing that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sit in there a day. I'm sure of it. I think that also. I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of people with all these different scenarios sitting here defending the thing that I've done.
There we go again. This is what I'm saying. You do this all the time, and it really, really bothers me. You just indicated that I'm defending what he's done. And I have constantly told you, I'm not defending, I'm not doing anything. I'm saying there's not enough evidence to make any judgment. Now, you just said I'm defending what he's done. Now, rewind this tape after you get off and write down exactly when I'm defending what he's done. Write down any scenario when I defended what he's done. Please give me that evidence back. Because I have told you I have no evidence to tell whether he has done anything or he's guilty or evil. I will wait till the evidence come out. I've constantly said that, but you just said I've defended what he's done. And that is taking somebody's words and twisting them to make them sound another way. That is not fair at all.
You're right. That's not fair. You're right. You say you're withholding judgment.
Yes.
Now, when it comes what Tawana said, okay. Well, I'm gonna read Tawana's comment. All right. It says, "Did you all see what happened in Chicago? The teens, sadly black teens, just started wilding out, terrorizing the stores, bearing up innocent people. This paints a picture that makes people fearful." Got it.
Yeah, I do agree. The media are trying to paint a picture. At the end of the day, I think this is exactly what the media wants. They want division. They want us to believe these certain things. They want us to rally up and attack each other at the end of the day, where people could just come together and all look at this situation. What I like about this situation, when we saw those people marching, what you saw was black kids, white kids, everybody marching for this kid. You didn't just see all black people. You saw white people too. Everybody is able to look at this situation and see that this situation is a disgusting situation. And that's all you have to see. That's all you have to say.
And,
You don't have to make any other indication other than that.
yeah, Corey, listen, I think you're making this, people saying that this is a white and black thing. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying is they are exhausted.
No, that's
We are
not. I don't think
no.
people said. I think that's what the narrative that's put out there.
No,
At the end of the
listen,
day,
man.
that's just
Yeah, no. The fact of the matter is this: like, it's getting old. Like, it's getting old, and the excuses are getting old. The yeah, but what about is getting old. You know, like, imagine if you use something other than, let's say, black on black violence. If
I use white on white violence. I
okay,
never said
okay,
black on black violence.
okay,
I said Kaylin Gillis is a white person
yeah,
who was shot
I'm
by
saying
another
that.
white person.
I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying
All
period.
right.
What I'm saying is, if you use something, let's just say something like, let's say, because you asked me, do I cook, right? You asked me, do I cook dinner, and I said, I don't cook dinner.
And Tiff, I back you up. That is shameful.
He did.
He need to doggone cook a meal for you. He need to get in there and make some spaghetti or something. Golly, cuz never.
I wash some dishes. I wash some babies.
I don't care. I cook every night, so I know your pain. I know your pain. Golly.
So check this out there. Let's use something different, right? What if Tiff was to come to me and say, Ryan, I want you to start doing some cooking, right? And I was like, but what about the people down the street that don't fold laundry? Like, it's guys down the street that don't fold laundry, and I'm sitting here, and that is my conversation. Instead of dealing with the fact that no, I do not cook laundry. Like, but me sitting here talking about down the street, the guy don't fold laundry. Like, Corey does not fold laundry. He don't do it.
Again,
like, nobody want to hear that. We get tired of it.
No, hold on. Let's go back. I said this, and again, I keep saying this. I said that in response to a question. The question was asked, what if he was white? So my response was, I don't think it would have mattered because you have a white girl that got shot by a white man for pulling into the wrong. That is another scenario that happened where a white individual got shot by another white individual. So I ask you, when he asked the question, what if he was white? What response did you want? Because now I say that. If that a response upsets you, I would say, you know what? Only black people get shot by white people, man. You know, that's what plays a factor. Is that that's the reason why he got shot.
Nobody is so obtuse that they think that's the case. The thought process.
But why did you have a problem with my response? Because I'm responding to a question that asked.
Okay, so I'm going to give it to you.
All right.
I'm gonna give it to you. I have no way of saying this, but I agree with Matt. I agree with Matt a little bit here. He was born in 1938. And I'm not saying that everybody before World War II is racist, but there are some tendencies. You gotta realize the climate that we're in and that we came out of. I'm not saying it's true. I think that what Matt has some valid points. Next thing what George said about there's no such thing as black on black crime. Crime is a matter of proximity. I definitely agree with that too.
Yes, I agree with that.
I believe that crime is proximity.
I think people gonna shoot the people that's around.
Yeah, and I think that poverty plays a point.
I agree.
And I'm gonna tell you, anytime people ask me questions, this is what I say. In the United States of America, you ready for this? Every single gun has an owner. I want you to think about this. When it comes from the factory with a serial number and a casing, because it's been fired there and registered with the alphabet boys, right? It goes to the distributors, and from the distributors, right, they have to go to a party. When people talk to me about the kids killing kids in Chicago, I have a question. How do all of these mysteriously unregistered ended up in a kid's handguns come from? The question comes down to, how does this keep happening? And don't tell me they old guns, because I mean, you start to see new guns. You start to see FNs, Dracos, all of these types of things. Where do they come from? What is the problem? And if we can put people on the moon, how can we get guns out of O Block?
You saying getting guns out of people's hands?
No, I'm just saying if when we
Or
talk
the
about these
kids'
kids,
hands?
yeah, we're talking about these kids, and we talk about the question comes down to how are these guns getting there? Why nobody cared to get those guns? You get what I'm saying? It's so it is a pandemic, it's an epidemic, and because the epidemic is not affecting people who make laws, that's the reason why they do nothing about them. So when we sit here, and I hate when we pull this out, it makes me so angry when we sit here and we talk about like those. I feel bad for any person that has to grow up in those areas, like in Chicago, and have to read something like this, as if like you don't realize that there are way more victims than there are people that are carrying those guns in Chicago. There's way more victims. They don't want those guns there. They have no way of stopping it. It's out of control there. So when we sit here, we talk about those kids shooting. Man, like that's a lawmaker issue.
It's a lawmaker issue. I mean, I think I always look at it like this. I think the problem is that what I'm saying, these kids with guns. But I do sad on the fact that humans going to get what they want. When alcohol was prohibited in sales, people found a way to get alcohol. At the end of the day, you can prohibit guns in Chicago. Those kids want guns. They just gonna drive down here to get the guns. At the end of the day, they're going to get guns. I would like
Oh
to
my
look
God.
into. I would like to look into different scenarios of why these guns are down there. But I don't err on the side of, okay, the government is just releasing guns to these
I ain't
kids to
say
shoot
that.
each other up.
I ain't say that.
I'm just making sure that wasn't the narrative. So you're not saying that's the
No,
narrative that you say.
I'm saying that
Do
if
you think
gun,
that is or ain't?
and listen, I'm not saying that. Just saying with you,
Okay.
I'm withholding judgment, like you said. I'm
All right.
withholding judgment on that. I don't have all the evidence, but I'm gonna
right.
say that if that gun was replaced with, let's say, I don't know, a stack of money, right? And stacks of money kept ending up in O Block. You know what?
You might buy a
know,
gun.
what it end up happening is people will find a ways to go check. They'll find a way to check where this money coming from, and they will find a way to confiscate all of this money. So
I don't know whether the government does have an
if you
incentive.
get rid of the word gun and call it stacks of money, right? And all of them were getting illegal stacks of money. You know what they do? They find out how to get it and cut it off. They stop it. But as
Hold
long as
on.
it's guns, they don't care.
Let me address. Tiff said, "Corey, is the evidence going to change your opinion on this situation?" I don't know whether it's going to change it. I don't have an opinion. So first, I don't have any opinion because I don't have the evidence. The evidence will build my opinion on the situation, and it's really a different way of looking at something. I'm saying, Tiff, I just look at these things differently. Until you understand, my mindset is always waiting until the evidence come out. I read the evidence, then I make my opinion. And it is different than I see other people do this. Other people, they make their opinion, and where the evidence lies, that lies. But me, I form my opinion from the evidence. I don't have enough evidence to form an opinion. That's what I'm making the statement. Now, when this case comes out, I will watch this case just like I do much of the time, and most people don't. I would sit there and watch the case and look at the evidence that's brought forth by both sides, and I will make my opinion from that. And then whether that person, and I do have a subjective, but I don't imprint my subjective thoughts onto it. I do think that this man shot this man for being black, but just because I think that, I can't form nothing around that because there is no evidence around. I don't know if that's it. That's just it. I don't know. It's just like anything. I don't know how a person. It's just odd to me because I've always been that way. It's odd to me to hear that y'all do it the other way. I don't understand how a person form opinions like that.
I definitely.
I just never don't. I never
listen,
have. It's
I
odd
hope
to
the
me.
evidence. And listen, man, because we winding down, man. I hope the evidence comes out and you decide that Ralph Yarl did not deserve to be shot.
I didn't think. That's
Like,
not.
I hope.
It's
Listen, I
not
hope the
it.
evidence support the fact that
Did-
young man should not have been shot for knocking on the wrong door. I
Yes.
hope the evidence comes out and you're able to say, Ralph Yarl does not deserve what happened to him.
That's
I hope the
a
evidence comes out,
ridiculous
and that's what
assertion.
I hope
That's a
the evidence
ridiculous
comes out.
assertion. People do that tactic in a lot of arguments, man. It's a ridiculous assertion to make. It's a fallacy. It's an emotional argument. He's building towards emotion and understanding what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I wait for the evidence to come out to form my opinion. I'm
That's
not
it.
forming any opinion. Now you forcing it here, make it two sides. Where he's saying either you're going to believe me or you don't believe me, and you're wrong for not believing me.
That's not
At
what
the
I'm
end of the day,
saying.
I'm knowing everything that
That's
everything what
not
he
what I'm.
said is
That's not what I'm
filling
saying,
in.
Corey.
Either you believe that this man shot this man wrongfully, or you believe that this man shot this man wrongfully. They are your two choices, and then that's it. Nah, but at the end of the day, I don't know what I don't know. I don't
I
know
understand.
anything.
I
I don't
understand.
know anything at all. I'm gonna wait for the evidence come out, and I build my beliefs on that. It very well could be exactly what y'all saying. I'm saying I don't form those opinions without evidence, and that's just the way I move. Because at the end of the day, many of the times you'll be wrong. I'm pretty sure you're wrong often if you
Okay.
form your opinions that way,
No.
because evidence comes out.
Okay. So okay, man. All right. So I'm learning something here. No matter what comes out, will make him deserve to be shot. I definitely agree with that part. The only thing that can come out is why
Yeah,
the old man made the decision he made.
yeah. I'm saying I don't think anything come out anything. I don't know. I wait for the evidence to come out. At the end of the day, like I said, my thoughts and prayers go out to that child, and I hope he does well. I hope he heals up 100%. But whether this person really thought that he was in fear for his life and that's the reason why he shot. Now I can agree that that young man should not have been shot. But the point that has nothing to do with the case that we're saying. We're saying that this man believed that he was in fear for his life. And that's the question.
Okay.
That's the question at hand.
Well, listen.
I
If
don't
he,
know that.
hey,
I don't know any of that.
listen. If he was afraid for his life, if he was afraid for his life, then that boy deserved to get shot. Right? Is that what we're saying?
No.
Then what are we talking about? I'm
Nah.
asking you the question.
I'm saying I have
I'm
made
giving
this
it to you.
statement.
He 85 years
I
old. He
told you I
probably
don't
was
understand.
afraid.
It's very because I think when you hear me, you don't even understand the premise of what I'm saying. That right there, all of that is opinionated. Everything you saying is everything you just built it right there. He deserved to be shot. These are all opinions. I'm saying I have none of that. I know none of that. I
Got
cannot form any of that without
got
knowing any evidence. When I
Well, I'm gonna
know the
give you.
evidence, I'm going to state what I believe happened.
Hey, I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you the.
Yes.
This is. I'm gonna give you this. I 100% am sure that he was afraid. I am sure that when he sees somebody my size that looks like me at his front door, I'm sure he is afraid.
You sure of that?
I'm
You
positive. I
100%
believe him.
positive of that.
I believe
That's
him
why I
that
say
he
a
was
person
afraid.
can.
I listen.
That's why
I'm
I'm
not.
saying a person can
I
build
believe
stuff
him
with
that he
no
was
evidence
afraid,
at all.
Corey. Corey, I believe
And
him
that's
when
a
he says
mob
he was
mentality
afraid.
there. That's a
I
mob mentality.
believe him
Don't
when he
need
says
no
he was
evidence.
afraid.
Don't need
You
any
just choose
evidence
not
at
to
all.
believe him. I believe
No,
him.
I'm not saying I choose to believe. That's a statement that you made, and I understand because you do not understand the concept that I don't believe anything. I have no opinion on the matter until evidence comes out, and it's a concept that you probably cannot understand because you have never did it. You never waited for evidence to
Yeah.
come out. You make your
Hey,
judgments and
and
damn dang the
and listen,
evidence.
and
Forget the
listen,
evidence.
and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna be done with the comment, and then we can
Yeah.
close this thing out. We can hit the comments, close this thing out. There are things that make me afraid,
Hmm.
and I have just as many reasons as that old man to be afraid of things. Probably have more reasons to be afraid. I watch things in the media like he watched things in the media. But if I'm afraid, if I'm as afraid as he is, anytime those blue lights come on behind me, which I have the reason to be afraid just like he was, I tell you what, I guarantee you guys won't be sitting here waiting for answers if I behave the way that he behaved. We're not gonna be sitting there. We're not gonna be holding judgment. We're not gonna be
I
holding
would.
judgment.
You
We're
saying
not.
I would?
I'm saying the vast majority of people, not you, Corey, because you
I'm
know
not the
me.
vast majority of people. I hold it doesn't matter if it was you my friend. I would have my opinions, but I would reserve these things. Like I told you, I'm inclined to believe exactly what y'all believe. I'm not just willing to put forth that statement without evidence. And what I would do, I'll be like, man, I know doggone well Hemp didn't just shoot that person. I know Hemp too well. But I reserve all my opinions till the evidence come out. The evidence come out against you.
On whether or not I was afraid.
Huh? No.
On whether or not I was afraid.
Was you whether or not you were justified in shooting?
Whether or not I was
whether or not you could justify shooting.
The question is whether or not I'm afraid, because that's his only argument that we could sit here that we could be waiting for judgment is whether or not he was truly afraid.
So
the question is, was he truly
let me
afraid?
Ask you this. If I run up on you with a gun right now and you shoot me, what are they going to ask?
Was I afraid? I guess that's was I afraid? Because that seems to be the bar.
Do you have a valid case for self-defense? That's the question.
Was I afraid?
Do you have a valid case for self-defense? That's the
afraid?
only thing they're gonna ask. They're gonna view all the evidence to see did you have a valid.
See if I was scared.
No, do you have a valid case for self-defense? That you're putting that word in it, and you're trying to make me choose that word because you wanted to make the argument.
I'm using the word that man
I'm
said.
saying is
that
the
man
argument
was
I'm
afraid.
saying.
He was afraid.
Is he justified in self-defense? His case is saying that he's claiming self-defense. Is that justified or not? Now you could change that to mean whatever you want it to mean. But to me, I don't think it's self-defense. I can make that statement. I do not think it's self-defense, but I do not know. Now you would say, I know. You will find out. You could be right, but you could be wrong. We don't know.
I'm just going with Mr. Lester said, man. But as you say, you want to hit the comments or what, man?
Yeah, man. We can go ahead. It's not self-defense. There was no imminent threat. Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm saying I don't know. I don't know. It's for the. Let's say there was no imminent threat. How do you know it wasn't? What information do you have that it wasn't? You building that right there is the objective. Hold on, I'm just reading.
Mr. told police officer after the shooting that he saw a black man pulling on the exterior storm door handle. This is what I'm saying. What the statement was.
Hold on. What I'm saying is there was no imminent threat. I don't have any information to know if it was or wasn't. At the end of the day, all I know that this is what this man claimed and this is what this person claimed. At the end of the day, they're going to weigh the evidence and that will show who was true. And I think at the end of the day, when the evidence come out, it's going to be proven that the child is right. But I ain't going to put that out. I just don't know. And I don't see how is that wrong? Like, how is me saying that I'm waiting for the evidence to make my decision?
I'm saying
anything, and I do that in every case. It does not matter the situation.
If Mr. Lester said, like I said, I'm just gonna say Mr. Lester telling the truth. I'm saying, so I'm taking his police statement.
Let me ask you right now.
Oh man.
Let me ask you a question. Caitlin Gillen, is that man rightful in shooting her?
Bro, I already gave her my thoughts and prayers. After you give thoughts and prayers, you don't have to do nothing else.
Right.
Like, once you do thoughts and prayers, you don't have to do anything
because it's
else.
Naive. I think it's equally naive to make a statement without. I think from my standpoint, it's just as naive to make statements without any valid evidence until evidence come out. I think that's naive. And I told you, at the end of the day, we look at things very different. If you can't accept the fact that that's just the way that I operate,
I accept it. I accept it.
You saying
I'm not upset about it. I'm just I do not.
I don't understand how. And it's weird to me that most people I know operate on this same line. When they hear these statements, they withhold their judgments until evidence comes out. Most people I know.
Hey, look here. I don't know whether Tawana, like I said, I don't know where the protest is.
Let's say this, and this is a great situation. The situation that happened at your house, right? Mm-hmm. My niece came up to me and told me a situation what happened in that tent, right? I could have acted on that, but I did not act on that until I go ask the other person. I gather evidence, right? To find out before I reserve my opinion. Now I could have hauled off and said, you did this to my niece, but I know none of that. I do not know anything. And that's the problem, because I'm acting on wrongful assumptions. I can take one statement and act on that. Sure, I could do that, but that might not be truth. I want to get the other person. I got to get the evidence before I make. And you seen that in real time. Real time with that. Did I get mad or anything? You saw that happen at your house. Well, how did I respond?
You
the exact same way.
I got you.
That's my way in life. I act that same way in life. I will not do that because I can equally be wrong. Statement come out and I look stupid. And that has happened to me before. That's the reason why I moved on for that. I have acted on stuff that I thought was rightful information. Turned out it was wrong.
I definitely understand. To answer your question, Tawani, that you said why is there no protest? You know what? I would protest, but again, like I said, I've already said my thoughts and prayers, and that's the extent of anything. All right, so you said let's go. Any more of these want to hit up before we close out?
Man, we'll go on for days, man. We're at 115. I told my boy I was hopping on Warzone.
Hey guys,
Golly.
this is a tough one. Corey, go ahead and give your thoughts before we close out.
Hey man, again, I told y'all it's much appreciated for y'all tuning in, man. Y'all make this thing so big, man. At the end of the day, even though we disagree, I like to think that we are family.
Yes.
As I say, we're not building a podcast, we're building a community in which we can disagree and agree and live together. At the end of the day, I look at y'all as family and friends, and I learn so much about y'all every day. Even though it get heated, the love never gets removed, man. Love y'all.
All right. Again, I think that if we don't do anything else, I want to say his name, Ralph. He did not deserve to be shot, and it's unfortunate that it happens. These situations, the only good thing is it causes things, and hopefully we can get to a point where we will at least objectively look at things and figure out how to stop them from happening and not justify it. I will tell you this: if something was to happen to me, I would prefer you guys not offer me thoughts and prayers. I I would prefer you do something to create some change, even if something got to burn down. Change needs to come from it, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Um, Peace, love yours.
Peace. Love you.